Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the Fostering a Culture of Mentorship in any organization. Hopefully we do mean any. So we've got a wide range of organizations here, and so we will be talking about all of them. I'm joined by Rima Skimmin, Ed Chamberlain, and Sally Clark, and they will all be introducing themselves shortly. So I'm going to start by introducing myself real quick. My name's Joshua McClure. I'm with HAF out of our Frisco, Texas office near Dallas, Water Resources team leader. And fun facts, I wanted a sports team. I don't really follow sports because of the Cowboys. And then we enjoy hiking, paddling, biking, and pretty much anything outdoors. A fun fact that did you know, I met my wife dancing, and so I still dance with her whenever I get a chance, and my little comment there probably sounds worse than it should have in retrospect. So hobbies include barbecuing, exploring craft beer, and trying to do woodworking, and generally cursing a lot. So with that, we're going to have a few polls, so if you want to scan this real quick and get ready on there to answer it. So you should be able to scan that. It'll ask you which session you're on, so scroll down somewhere down the list. And we've got a couple of polls that we'll be asking there, so give everybody a minute. I'll go and go through the housekeeping. Take note of your exits on either side of the room. Any door you see is apparently a fire exit here.
Kumar, we have the front row for you.
Silence your devices, please. And we are recording this session, and so if you have a question or a comment, I'm going to ask just a few open answer questions as we go. Please use a microphone to answer those or to ask those so that it gets into the recording. If not, I will attempt to repeat the question here. And has everybody got that QR code? All right, I still see a couple other people. Do we have, Jamie, cards to give people as they come in with the QR code on it? No? Okay.
There's a QR code piece of paper here, is that?
Yes, that piece of paper there. Please pass it to anybody coming in. Or if you want to tell them to scan it as they come in, I appreciate it. So you can download the PDH of this and the recordings up till August 30th. So don't do what I did and say, oh, I remember that session from a year ago. Let me go try to get it in April because it will not exist anymore. So those will be up until August 30th of this year. And I want to thank the sponsors. So Alliance Cabrera Services, Niffler, I think is how that's pronounced, and Geo.
Nightfeller. He's an awesome surveyor.
Okay.
There you go.
Awesome survey there. So there's an endorsement.
I wasn't endorsing it.
All right, first poll question, just a quick get to know you. So let us know who you represent. So I don't know why the poll questions don't show up on the screen. But
They will.
So are you active duty military, civilian at a government agency, small, medium, large business, some sort of nonprofit, or other? Don't know what that other falls into, but so let's everybody get a chance to answer those, and let's see. Oops,
Oh, it didn't go. No, it
why? Uh-oh. Did the questions pop up for you? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's try that again. I don't actually know how to make this show me
Do you
the.
just move it ahead and it will populate?
That's what I thought would happen.
You might need to wait for it to count down again. It's counting down again.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see what's up there, so. All right, we'll wait apparently 9 more seconds. So, as I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about, generically about setting up programs, and this is about developing a mentoring program, not simply being a good mentor, although we will hit on elements of that. So we've got a good mix, about 30%.
Can you read it out?
Yes, we've got about 30% government civilians, about 18% active duty, 22% small business, 11% medium, 18% large, no academic, and 2% students down there at the bottom. So we got one student in the room apparently. Who's a student?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
From Maryland.
Nice.
Yes, and if you're curious about Sally's little lanyard there. It is apparently the Maryland flag, which I did not know. All right, so who are we and why are we here talking about this? So as I mentioned, I'm Joshua, but I am here because of a long, torturous past. So at a previous company, I had been managing about 10 people and just was not very effective at getting them developed and where I wanted them to go. And so I kind of identified my coaching, mentoring as being a real challenge. And so that's something I wanted to get better at. 3 years ago, I joined the National Leadership Development Program and kind of focused on that as my project that I wanted to take on, was to get better and to then help others get better by developing mentoring programs. So that was why I got into this, and now I chair the mentoring advisory group through the Leadership Development COI. I'm also a mentor within my company and a mentor within the Texas Regional LDP. So we just kicked off the second class this round. So second year I'll be doing that. And then I will turn it over to our panelists, and I apologize, my throat, I've been doing too much talking too much late at night. So with that, we'll turn it over to Ree to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. You can take some water while I'm talking. Thank you. That works, Sally. Ree Miskimen. I am with the Baltimore Post, and I'm a graduate of SAME's Leadership Development Program, known as the LDP, class of 21.
Second best class.
It's okay. It's all right. If you've not spoken for SAME before, they give you these slides, and you fill in, like, your favorite sports team, your blah, blah, blah. So I live in Baltimore, so, love my Baltimore team. Fun fact, I love to work out, and I am decided to take that to a level of becoming a certified trainer with the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So if anyone would like to meet me in the gym tomorrow at 5, I'm happy to put you through a workout. And peace and love to those who were there this morning. And I love to cook, which is why I work out. So I graduated in 21 from the LDP, and I am giving back by being the National Mentoring Chair for the LDP. Any graduates or current class members, LDP? Yeah. Oh, yay. Others who are supporting the LDP? Yes. Awesome. I love that. Thank you very much. My co-chair and fellow cohort member from the best class, Erin Kotlar, is here. So we co-chair matching mentors with the incoming class, and it's a requirement of this program. I am also the chair for Maryland's LMP, Leadership Mentoring Program, which is based loosely off of the national LDP, of which Sally and I and a couple of our leaders stood up last year. We're in our second year of that.
All right, Ed.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having the amazing curiosity to actually come here and speak about mentoring. So I appreciate it. It says a lot about you that you're interested in either advancing your own mentoring or learning something new. Truth be told, I was supposed to say who I am, sorry. Ed Chamberlain, it's on the slide, Vice President, Prime AE. Kumar's in the room if you have any questions about Prime AE. And then Cool Facts, Go Hokies, whatever else is on there. I can't see through Josh. But the whole...
Tornado in Kansas.
Yeah, Tornado, Kansas, whatever. I need to get new fun facts. But, why we're here, you get to a point with your SAME time and you get asked, should you consider to be a fellow? And it's not an award, it's really a declaration that you're going to do more and give back. And something I've struggled with my entire career is mentoring people. So I'm the worst mentorer in the room. But I just told people to do stuff, and if they did it wrong, do it again, and that was great mentoring. This is the reason I'm here is I'm trying with a great team to lead our leadership and mentoring program in the Northern Virginia and DC area between those two posts, and I'll talk about it here in a minute. But when I became a fellow, I said, I'm going to do better, do gooder with mentoring, and I'm trying. So I'm here really just to learn from Sally and Ree and Josh about how to be a good mentor.
All right, we'll take you to Sally then.
All right. He's right. We can't see through you. I am Sally Clark. I am a vice president with AFG Group. We're a woman-owned small business based out of the Northern Virginia area. Some of my fun facts that some of you might have seen on my LinkedIn was that I'm a classically trained violinist. I did start when I was in kindergarten and continue to play. And at the SAME Foundation's first silent auction, I did offer up my skills, and that was a great occasion in which we raised $36,000. That was amazing. If anybody is up for a Scrabble or duck pin bowling game, I am willing to crush you.
And axe throwing.
And axe throwing.
I've learned that.
Just a little bit competitive. So if you would like to win, join my team. And then karaoke. I didn't do it last night, but there are a couple more nights here. Anything is possible. In terms of why I'm here, so I participated in the 2017 DC and Northern Virginia Leadership and Mentoring Program. And found the program to be extremely valuable. It was directed by Dr. Bob Wolf, who is the former executive director at SAME, and worked very closely with him on that program. A few years later, I became post president of the Mid-Maryland Post, and wanted the Mid-Maryland Post to also bring forward a mentoring program, and decided the best way to do that was to join the DC and Northern Virginia Post in their already existing program rather than reinventing the wheel. And also, if you're in the DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland area, you know that we have a lot of posts that sit right up on top of each other. So it is better for us to work together than for us to try and compete on our own. And this is not really competing. Sorry, the theme of winning. So joined the DC program, DC Nova program. A few years later, came to the then post president and said, hey, Baltimore wants to stand up one. How about we make all of have all of the Maryland posts join together and stand up essentially a mega Maryland leadership and mentoring program. And when it was able to transfer over some of the lessons learned from the DC Northern Virginia Post over into the now existing Maryland LMP program. I've also in these years, stood up a mentoring program at my company. And so my portion of the program today will be focused on standing up corporate mentorship programs and what that can look like structurally. And I will allow Ree and Ed, who I've both worked with in the programs, to speak to post and government.
All right, thank you. Yes, so I was, being from Texas, I was very surprised that there could possibly be a mid-Maryland post. I was like, that's the size of Dallas-Fort Worth. How can you have so many posts within such a tiny space? But anyway, so.
Sure.
All right, we're going to talk first here about the fundamentals of successful mentoring programs. And I've got a poll question, which I have now learned. You have to wait for 30 seconds for it to answer. So, and I apologize because in retrospect, we did not ask enough questions here. So we got what kind of mentoring programs are you involved in, if any? I put corporate, and I should have, that should just be organization. So whatever organization you're in, whether it's military or educational or whatever, and then SAME or some other type of program that you may be involved in. Okay, so majority, well, not majority, so about a third of you are involved in some sort of organizational informal program, and I think that's probably pretty typical. Another third are not involved in one, but hope to be soon, so hopefully you'll get something useful out of this. Then we got 14% in a formal organization program, 4% in an SAME post level, 5% in the SAME regional, and 9% in other. So have a quick question. Of those of you involved in an SAME post, raise your hand real quick. I'm curious. Which post? Guam? Oh, you're not Guam anymore, never mind. Spokane, that's right. Who else has post? Yes. DC Nova. New Orleans, all right. So I helped set that up as part of my LDP program with Taylor. So that was one of our pilot programs. Yes. DC Nova, okay. So we got a couple of programs out there. The Texas people are here, I guess, that are participating in that one. So we did have to set up a regional.
What's the percent on the Hope 2 soon?
On the what? 36%. Oh, the number changed a little bit. So about a third of the people not involved, but hoping to get into it. So we will talk about that a little bit more later. So we've talked about a few different programs here. There's a lot of commonality, a lot of differences. So I want to let them talk about, panelists here talk about the different programs that they're involved in so we can explore a little bit about how they differ and what their similarities are. So we'll start with Ree to talk about the national LDP program.
Sure. And this slide here is just, thank you, is just kind of touching on what Sally said earlier, that the three of us kind of represent the three kind of different but same pockets of mentoring, and that's on the SAME national level. So I come here to speak about my experience from that side of the house. And then there's the post level, which all three of us are experienced in, and then corporate, which Sally will touch on. And what's the same about all of these, obviously, is the mentoring part of it, and also, and more importantly, is the professional growth and the organizational success that is seen from successful mentoring programs. And we'll dive into some of this. And I actually think you have the next slide, which you're going to talk a little bit about the, you just want to moderate. I'm going to sit here.
Okay, so let's talk about the national LDP. How does that differ from what you're doing with your local posts or regional posts?
Sure. I mean, I'll try to summarize it. So again, Sally touched on our leadership and mentoring program, which is a regional program in DC and Nova. There are many now regional leadership and development programs, leadership and mentoring programs, and that's awesome. That now are starting, really just starting this year, maybe last year, feeding into the national leadership and development program. So it's a great structure. It kind of happened a little bit backwards. As Sally mentioned, Dr. Wolf, who was our executive director, as soon as he stepped down as executive director of SME, he started our leadership and mentoring program first in the DC post. I think it was around 2015, but I'm making up the date, but it was something like that. About 2015, then brought in the Nova post, and then he really needed to fully retire. I think he's retired like 4 times. But really in 2022 came to myself, Sally, Ben Nichols, Philios Angelides, a few others saying, hey, could you continue to run this? And none of us were able to do it ourselves, but certainly offered to participate in it. The emphasis of this program is more so on leadership and an informal mentoring. And sometimes the informal mentoring could be more formal, but we're working on it. But that's the intention, is to expose people to great leaders. Many of them are fellows. Many of them are heads of government agencies in the DC, Northern Virginia area, and then monthly sessions. So 2 hours, monthly session. We're starting to do little sort of trip summaries, report summaries that we're doing on that. And then optional events. We're blessed in the DC area to have a lot of neat events, either ceremonies or awards presentations by different AEC industries or government agencies. So we add that into it. But the emphasis is certainly on leadership and sort of talking to that mid-careerist or young professional that's moving into a leadership role, and then having the mentoring of both the facilitators and the class. The other focus of this program, and I'm sure this is true for many of the regional leadership mentoring programs, is diversity in every sense of the word. So we painstakingly select all those that apply down to a group of about 12 to 13, and making sure that we have people from all over the AEC industry, people from all over races, people from all over genders, all of that. But really, I'm looking for an interaction. Not everybody's engineers, not everybody's architects. So we have a great mixture, and that's mentoring in another way, because you get to be exposed to people outside of your agency. We have 2 military in our class, talking to a lawyer that supports the military. So stuff like that is really emphasis, and that's, in my view, because I told you I'm a really crappy mentor, that we do the informal mentoring that way. Again, small class size is the focus there. again, 12 to 13 monthly events, and then was volunteer events at, hey, guess what, SAME events. Because this is trying to develop leaders, assign them informally mentors, but also develop the next level of leaders for SAME, quite selfishly. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
And so everything Ed talked about, I realized I didn't really explain the LDP. You know, when you kind of live in something, you don't realize that people may not truly understand the inner workings. The national program is set up very much the same, and we limit to about 20 with sessions and programming throughout the year. And if you went to the opening, I guess it was, I missed it. Sorry for all the people who graduated. I'm so sorry. I'm so sad I missed it. That class graduated and the other group came in. But it's the LDP is very much the same, and I'd love to talk to folks about that after this session. And we have some national leaders here who can talk to you as well.
And so you guys hit on a couple of important things before I get to the corporate one, Sally. But so in the national program, the mentoring is required. It's a required component. Everyone who does it has to have a mentor. Want you to meet monthly. Ed, you guys just said your system is more you encouraged to have a mentor, but not required. Bree, can you talk about why in the national program we require mentoring?
Yeah. So there are various reasons, and I'll keep this kind of short. Ed talked a little bit about, fellowship, and one of the givebacks of fellows, and it's not just fellows, really anybody, is stepping into the space of helping to lift up our incoming leaders in the society. The mentor in this program acts as a kind of a guiding light through the program, helping them through what we call a UPIC. It's a capstone project that our students work on, and that project is a give back to the society of something that they alone or they as a group would like to do. For example, mine was actually a mentoring toolkit along with two of my classmates. And that was to help posts track the dollars of scholarship money that the society gives out. I feel like there's a lot more detail into the mentoring of the LDP that I don't want to take too much time to get into, other than that person I feel like I'm stammering. Ed is a mentor. Ed is one of our mentors in the program. Recovering mentor, and actually signed up to be a mentor again this year. They meet monthly, if not more, with each of their classmates, each of their mentees. This is the mentors. They are keyed into every part of the program of the LDP. All the book readings, all of the speakers we have lined up for each month. And it's not required that they be involved in each of those meetings, the mentor, but it's required that they understand the scope of the program itself, to be a sounding board, to talk about career transition, if it's someone who's active duty, moving into the civilian world, and so much more. It is an excellent program. It is... I think we're going to talk about the pairing later, so I'm going to pause.
All right. So point being, with the LDP program, the national LDP program, the mentoring is a required component because we feel that they get a lot more out of it when they've got somebody to talk with through it one-on-one, whereas, as we'll talk about later, setting up those pairings and making all that happen and make sure that it's going smoothly can be quite a bit of work. So other programs make it a more voluntary element that you don't want to require. So Sally, can you talk about your corporate program, which is a fairly involved process as well?
Sure. So as I had mentioned, AFG is a small business, and approximately 100 employees, so that you have an idea of what could be possible within your organization. About 5 years ago when we started, we were approximately a group of 50. And so what our mentoring program looked like at the size of 50 is different from 100 to what it will look like at 200, 500, 1,000. So what I decided to do with the program is essentially build a structure, and we call it AFG University. And we build it off of 3 components. And you'll see here that the SAME programs focus on leadership and mentoring programs, and for us, our corporate program focuses on technical training as well as mentoring. And then we plug into SAME for additional leadership training. But the way that we have structured it within AFG is that our university, if you think of a structure, is built on a foundation of technical training and capabilities in the aspect of industry best practices, AFG best practices, and client-preferred best practices. Once there is a full understanding at the foundational level, we plug in the mentoring component. The mentoring component, think of like pillars in the standard university
I could pop up
building
your slide.
structure. No, you're good. So the pillars of our program then are the mentors. And the mentoring program works peer mentoring as well as mentoring to senior and back down to senior leadership. And then at the top of our university program is our leadership component. So foundation, mentoring, leadership. And in order to get to the leadership component in which you are able to move forward within the organization, you must have a strong foundation, and we make sure that you are moving through the program and forward. At the leadership component, we then identify emerging leaders who then would benefit from additional leadership training, not only from internally in our organization, but then from an organization such as SAME at the national level or at the post-level engagement. We typically prefer to have no more than 5 to 10 people participate in each of our quote-unquote series. So we have series 100, 200, 300, 400, similar to what you would have at a university structure. And each one of those series is, built upon the next. Do you understand do you understand best practices, period? Do you understand how to plug that in and work with your clients? How then are you able to build out your EQ? And then how are you able to lead an organization? So we like to think of this as a growth opportunity within our company.
And so the mentoring is required in that program.
And the
correct?
mentoring is a required component of it. And we'll get to the pairing, but it is a required component of it, and it is required not only for our senior leaders to receive bonuses, it is required for the participants to also peer mentor across within the cohorts that we have set up.
Okay. And so by contrast, at HAF, we've got a mentoring program. Anyone can sign up to be a mentor. Anyone can sign up to be a mentee, or both. And so but it's not part of a leadership program. It's a standalone program. We have different training programs that cover a lot of what she's talking about, but they're separate from the mentoring itself, so we don't generally have them paired together. So just to contrast different ways of doing it, and part of that's the difficulty of developing such a program, especially as you grow in size, and part of it's just give flexibility to people to be mentored on what they need at a given moment. So a few resources at the national level. This mentoring across SAME guide. This is available to help you set up a mentoring program. It's anywhere, everywhere, or any kind of program. It's got some good information on a checklist for you to consider whenever you're setting up a program, just things to think about. Not that you have to do all of them, but just to think through all of them. So that is available. Encourage you to look at it. We're in the process of updating it, so you will not see my name in it at the moment. But I encourage you to take a look at that if you're interested in setting up a program. It's also got some good tips and tricks. We've also got the mentor relationship guide that reuses in the LDP program, if you want to comment for a moment on that one.
Sure, yeah, so the mentor relationship guide is a tool for our mentors and mentees to understand how the program operates. It also includes an agreement that that both parties sign, and that's to say that we agree to come to this together. We will be actively engaged and open to discussion, commitment, et cetera. Just provides overall guidance, and there's tools in there to help with conversation, because it's difficult sometimes to figure out, like, how do you engage in a conversation with, as a mentor to your mentee, and other things, and we also have that available. If you are starting a mentoring program, these tools that Josh is talking about will be made available to you.
Thank you. So, how do you cultivate the mentoring relationship? So, set up some sort of program, but how do you get the mentors, mentees together and working and functional as a team? So, talk for a moment about that not all mentoring relationships are created equal, as we say here. So you've got organic ones where you just meet somebody, you work with them or enjoy them or whatever, so you ask them to be your mentor. But then you've also got the introduced and matched mentoring, where you're intentionally pairing with somebody. And so, again, that's kind of what our company does and what the LDP program does, less so than what you're doing in the Mid-Maryland. But setting up the pairing can be a bit of a challenge. So, Ree, you want to talk briefly about how you're doing it in the national LDP program?
So nationally, it's difficult to, so what we ask our students to do, the incoming class, is because they're required to have a mentor, to let us know if they need one, to look into their network, and if they don't have one, then we have a pool of mentors. Ed is one. Mentors in the house, LDP mentors, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Thank you, Sean Moore. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. So we have a pool of mentors, and if anyone is interested in being a national mentor, please talk to me or Josh. We were happy to get you signed up to do that. It's an application process, and it literally is, what is your background, just business development, technical, what do you hope to impart on a mentee, and what do you want from a mentor, and a little bit about your background too, just kind of the soft side. It's hard to make matches when it's a national program. You're not meeting face-to-face and doing a handshake, and for some people that feels like this is not mentoring, but it really is, and I think Ed could probably talk to. Do you want Ed to talk about that now or later?
Yeah, I was
His
going to see
experience,
if you want to talk about a little, I know you guys
sure.
have done some kind of speed dating type approaches sometimes.
Well, you talk about mentoring at the LDP level.
Well, the LDP, yeah.
So of course, face-to-face on one-on-one, especially these days, mentoring is desired. But I had a mentee under this program about 2 years ago, and he was in construction, just moved from a foreman to a supervisor, and he was doing data centers right out, like on my back step, like right in my backyard. So it was great. We would meet monthly in person. And then he got reassigned to Mexico to build a data center down there. So we certainly had to go remote then. Although he kept showing up at random times at a local bar. I don't know how that worked, but the mentoring there, of course, it was a routine check-in. It was, hey, how you doing? It was really checking on him personally, and then what professional challenges he was moving through, and it was perfect. He was moving directly from a very technical role into his first leadership, big time, managing a very large job in Mexico. So not only was he in a different country, but he was in a different role, and he had leadership challenges. So it was a very satisfying experience for me, because it's all about me. I think it was pretty good for him too, but that's what all of our mentors do through this program.
So, Sally, how does your company do pairing of the mentors and mentees?
Sure. So we'll, for our pairing, within each of our cohorts, there are 3 to 4 designated mentors, and the mentees then have the ability to essentially choose who it is that they best fit with, the technical background of the senior leader who has made themselves available, personality fit, that sort of thing. And so we kind of provide opportunities for the mentees and mentors to get together virtually, in person, create structured opportunities, whether it be a site walk or a site visit together so that they can get to know each other, or less structured opportunities where we say you have several hours this month in which you can take your team or your mentees out for lunch or dinner, that sort of thing. What we try to allow in terms of the opportunity to find the best match is billable hours, that we take away some of their billable hours to allow them to have to feel less pressure about making engagements and relationships happen on work time. But we do also provide those structured opportunities to essentially, face-to-face or speed date, that sort of thing, but get to know each other and get to work with each other within a more structured. And I'll say this about one other thing, is that sometimes when we talk about mentoring and why we've kind of structured our program the way where we have a significant emphasis on the technical training, is because oftentimes when you start a program, the question is, well, what does your mentee need, right? And sometimes what the mentees need is technical training. Sometimes what they need is leadership training. And it's gonna vary person to person. And so allowing that flexibility to happen where maybe you have a super technical lead and sometimes you just have like somebody who's great with people as a person to be a mentor. Our mentors don't necessarily need to be the most outgoing, gregarious people out there, who we would normally think of as being a good mentor. Those mentors can be those super technical folks within your organization who may be a little introverted, but have a lot to offer.
Okay. So you've got kind of a pairing where you've got questionnaires and you try to pair people up with the best match. You've got more just kind of forced pairing with a small pool of people. So our company, when they do the mentor-mentee matches, it's basically based on seniority. You know, you want your mentor to be more senior than you and then in another office, so they're not really in your chain of command at all. So that's about the extent of their thought process into how you pair people together. Point being, in all of this presentation, there's no single right or wrong way to do it. It really depends upon what your intent is when you're setting up the program. So I'm going to talk very briefly about how in-depth you can get into it, because this is what we did for our project in our LDP program. So we had this big, long questionnaire, page-long thing for the mentors and mentees to try to get the perfect match for whatever that person was looking for. And Taylor Chastanak at the time, I'm forgetting what her last name, or no, Taylor Daigle at the time, Taylor Chastanak now, she put together this big, long spreadsheet trying to match up mentors and mentees and get the perfect match. So you can really overthink this process. In the end, it's going to come down a lot to kind of personal chemistry and what they're whether they're helping out. But Ree, can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you've had on the national LDP and needing to regroup as you paired people together?
Sure. So I just want to go back to the last slide. You don't have to go backwards. Was something on there of speed dating. I am in marketing and business development, and we belong to the Society for Marketing Professional Services. For the Maryland chapter, I stood up there a very robust mentoring program, and we had a speed dating. I think that the mentees got to sit, and then the mentors went around and they got to meet each other, and the mentees wrote down like their top three, and that was very local program. So I just wanted to address that. I wish we could always do that. It's just not possible. Aaron and I, again, we are co-chairs for the national program. About 3 to 4 months into the program, we call every mentee and ask them, how's it going? And it's an opportunity for us to talk about overall, how's the program? More importantly, how's your pairing going? Do you feel like it's going in the direction you want it to go? How can we help you with any conversation starters you're struggling with? Are you finding it's a good match? So what we have discovered over the last several years of doing this, of having the one-to-one conversation, and I highly recommend doing this as opposed to an email or a survey, it allows for conversation. It has helped us reshape the program. So here are some things that we heard. One person said, I am transitioning. Now we have an application process, so we match people up, we try. And when we match people up, I'll send an application to the mentor first and say, hey, I found a mentee for you, what do you think? I've had a mentor say, Actually, I don't think it's going to be a good fit for me. No one knows. No one, not even national, knows that was a conversation, and we go back to the drawing board. And then once the mentor says yes, I go to the mentee and say, I found it. What do you think? So they can look and say, yes, this is a perfect match. So everyone's in agreement. Just want to put that there. And then once we make our phone calls, this person said, I am active duty transitioning, and I didn't realize that I wanted to have that same type of person to help guide me through the process. So yes, I need help, guidance through the LDP, but also what's next? Like, how do I transition through my career? What do I do? So we helped find them a very like person. That was the big, and then we also call our mentors. So we're calling both and asking, how is the program going? And for the mentors who are in the room, Sean, Aaron is a co-chair. He's also a mentor into this. And Ed, these conversations are valuable. It helps us make the program stronger and helps us pivot. And even this year, hearing some additional things that we might want to do to make the program even more robust. I will say that if a pairing isn't working out for you, don't ever feel that you're stuck. And even I think in your corporate atmosphere, that if there's a pairing, you would hope that someone would speak up and say, this is about leadership too. It doesn't matter if you're a mentor or a mentee. If this isn't working out for you, speak up. It's about your future and what you hope to get out of it. And if you have anything to add to that.
I just wanted, not super related to that, but just seeing so many members of the military in this, these leadership and mentoring programs or leadership and development programs, when a member of the military or government agency is in it, the mentoring is not all about transition. So I'll make sure that's clear. It's about progressing in your current career. And I don't want to get a message out there like, oh yeah, SAME is trying to convince everybody to get out of the military. I served for 25 years. I feel like I had to say that. It is about mentoring people on their current role, about what they want to do. And again, take it anywhere they want to. But I just felt like I had to put that disclaimer out there. Thank you.
Yes, the mentoring program should be tailored ultimately to the mentee and what they're trying to get out of the program. So we are running a little behind, so we're going to jump over to some real-life anecdotes and success stories, and then talk about the impact of mentoring overall and why you should have the program. So with that, I'll start with Sally, since she's been going last in the question. So you get to go first, Sally.
Real life anecdotes. Okay, so I think this will go a little bit further into the slides, but that's okay. Then you can take some of the time away from future ones. So real life anecdotes. So we have graduated 3 groups out of our mentoring program that we currently have at our company. And of those people that have graduated, we have seen 2 of them become project directors overseeing large programs. They have the foundation, the technical foundation. They have the mentoring capability to lead a team. They have the leadership experience and drive in order to make that happen. So the goal for us is to make sure that we're driving internal growth within the organization, but then sometimes that internal growth through mentoring means that we are mentoring them on to their next path in their next job. And I think that sometimes within mentoring relationships within a company, there can be the fear of you're trying to keep it very insular and very keep them within the system, which can be true, but I think as part of leaders, we also need to recognize that sometimes what our mentees need the most is something that we can't provide, and they will find somewhere else. And so some of our graduates from the program have since been able to bring their skills to other organizations. Luckily, those are clients of ours that we will see them in the future, so that it ends up working out for us.
And I think Sally brings up an important point, and something you need to consider is having a mentor within your own company is going to limit to some degree what that mentor is going to talk to you about and advise you about. So it is possible in the national program you may be talking about leaving your company and wanting to transition somewhere else, and having a mentor outside of your company might not be the case, but having a mentor inside of your company, it's going to limit to some degree what you're looking for, but still, in my opinion, beneficial. But I've certainly had those types of conversations, even internally with the company, that if you're wanting to do that, you may need to look at doing something different. But usually when it's internal in the company, I'm viewing it more as an opportunity for me to advocate for that person. So one of my mentees, she was interested in getting involved in some programming, and she was doing water resources modeling, so I really got a background in programming, really want to do that. So I was able to get her on a project where she was able to develop those skills. And so having the mentor, just somebody to step in and advocate that she would get to work on these types of projects, really helped her move along in the direction she wanted to go. So Ed, do you have a good?
Yeah. So I just have four succinct success stories. Say that 3 times fast. Again, if you institute any type of program like this or use someone else's program, you're always going to have a success story. You will every time. And that's what keeps all of us going and staying so involved. So from a leadership and mentoring or local regional thing, the first success is I have 6 volunteers that want to facilitate the program right alongside me, when Dr. Wolf used to do it just by himself. And so at first, when Sally and I and Ben Nichols were approached, we're like, how are we going to do this? Let's split the work. But now I see that as a success. I have so many fellows, non-fellows right now reaching out saying, hey, Ed, could I help lead a class for your one of your monthly sessions? So we've got Bree Beal, Philios Angelides, Master Sergeant Brad Wilson from the Air Force, Jim Wink, Justin Jacobs. Sally has been a facilitator in that. Philios, did I get everybody? I don't know. I have so many people I can't remember them. So that's obviously, because you get more people involved, more people vested in mentoring people, it's going to happen. The second is we've had graduates move on to bigger and better pastures. To embarrass Sally some more. Sally was a member of Dr. Wolf's classes early on, and look what she's doing now. Stepping down as a COI of a small business, mid-Maryland post, moving up in her company, playing the violin for strangers now. She's amazing. Kathy Otis, if you guys know her, with Gannett Fleming, stepping down as a COI chair for architecture. She's going to be one of the vice presidents of our Northern Virginia post in SAME, moving up in her company. Made a career change, I think, early on through this process. Ben Nichols, Ben Nichols is a member, then facilitated. Now he's the president of his company, Harkins Builders. So, I'm sure it was due to other things too, but I can go on and on. But the last one is the perfect thing, and that we've been really trying to design and architect. I hate that word, actually, design. I like architects. I just don't like people who use that word, sorry. Anyway, is when you have this program and then people want more and they move on into a leadership and development program from your local regional program. So they want 2 years of abuse. So Samantha Long is in the back grinning and grimacing because she graduated from our program last year and now has been inducted into the LDP program this year. And she's a glutton for punishment because I'm also her mentor in that. So I don't know why. You can always bow out. Just tell Reed you don't like me. And then last, and I'll shut up, is when you mentor these folks, not only do they succeed in their current career transition job, they progress in SAME. It just happens. And as much as we need STEM professionals in all of our careers and industries to progress, we need more younger people than me in SAME, and this accomplishes that as well. So I could go on.
All right. So heard some anecdotal evidence of mentoring programs, so I want to talk real quick about a few statistics that we can throw out there. So 98% of U.S. Fortune 500 companies have mentoring programs. So presumably that's helped them get there.
Sorry, Josh.
Status.
The last thing I was going to say is I have a lot of companies that selfishly use our programs, we'll just say to augment their own corporate program. So,
You just said that. We do.
well, I was politely saying there are some companies that use our program that don't have one at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and certainly if you're in a smaller, mid-sized program, leveraging the SAME opportunities are a very good and inexpensive way to do it, especially the Texas LDP program. There's no cost for being involved in it, so you're welcome. You get a free mentor and free leadership training for a year. So it also reduces turnover by 50% for both the mentees and mentors, because a lot of senior people want that opportunity to work with younger folks, and so it helps them stay engaged and interested in in valuing the company. 94% of workers would have stuck around longer had they had career development, which speaks to especially the corporate company development. So that's something that you'll hear most everyone asking, wishing they had more training, more opportunities to work on skills in a formal setting. And then 90% report being happy at work when they have a mentor. So it definitely gives you somebody to bat around ideas, gripe and complain about a little bit with, and figure out how to improve things. And just very quickly, these are some of the statistics we did when we did a pilot program in New Orleans and San Diego post. So you can see that we had very much a lot of happiness with having a mentor, and particularly the 80% in continuing the relationship with their mentor. And so some of the other, those lower numbers, there were some pairings that didn't work out. We had a short time frame, so this reflected our inability to sometimes get in there quick enough and switch out a mentor, which is something that RE works on very much. So resources, I already showed you earlier the Mentoring Across SAME guide. I encourage you, if you're interested in a mentoring program or just some tips and tricks on mentoring, to look at that. And lastly, if you want to apply to be a mentor, you can shoot this QR code here that will take you to the mentoring application to get to RE.
Yeah, and we, National also has an application for mentees, so if you're interested in finding a mentor outside of a national program. This is not the QR code, I just realized I didn't put that up there, but talk to me, I'm happy to help you get connected.
Yes, and we are in the process in the Mentoring Advisory Group of developing a database to help pair mentors and mentees, but that's still a year out from happening. So with that, I appreciate everybody coming. We've got time for questions. If you can, please scan a QR code and tell us either how great we did or how awful we did, so that we can learn in the future. So are there any questions, comments? Anybody want to tell a success story? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Pete Steinowski with the Army Engineer R&D Center. I've got a question about turnover, especially, and we've walked around that a few times, and one of the great benefits of the SAME program, the national program, is it follows you company to company. But in my corporate structured mentoring program that I'm in, I feel a little bit tied down, that my mobility is limited as a mentor because I'm so committed to my mentees and staying in the program with them. So I'm wondering, especially for Sally, how do you address turnover within your corporate system?
Okay. I appreciate hearing that. We've had zero turnover for any of our mentors that have participated in the program. I didn't think that they may feel obligated to stay a mentor or with the company because of the mentees.
Is that a new trick?
I think that is a really interesting take on it. But I think that sometimes when you're working with, many of us work in an organization because we like the people, right? So like, I would hope that their experience would be positive as to the reason why they are staying within the organization. We have had turnover from our mentees, that's for sure. Mentees that have participated in not only our program, but also the SAME program that we referred them to. But no turnover from our mentors. So then maybe our goal then is to turn almost all of our mentees into mentors, and that will solve 100% of our turnover problem.
The statistics hits that being a mentor or a mentee both help keep you in the company and keep you connected and grounded to people. And so the point being, it's going to reduce overall turnover, hopefully.
I would encourage then actually for our mentors then to also find mentors outside of the organization to reduce that sort of level of pressure that they feel within the organization, probably even more so for the mentors to do so.
I would agree. I mean, I think we all sort of hit on it. I mean, having a mentor in your organization is powerful, but having a mentor outside of your organization, I think, is even more powerful, just a personal thing. I mean, again, I grew up where there was freaking no mentors. You just did what you're told. But I think that it really is powerful because I've now been able to do it both ways. We have a small mentoring program in my company too, and I feel like it's not as open a conversation about all options for professional growth. So
Yeah, and I think too, with the national program, when the students come, those who have mentors, some of them have them within their organization. And Aaron and I push back a little bit and say, would you consider having a mentor outside? And that's for perspective, more than anything else.
So a lot of it depends on what you're doing. So when I did the LDP program, I had just started at my company, and I wanted a mentor within the company to help teach me about the company and how to move around within it. So it depends on where you're at in your career and what you're looking for. But certainly, especially coming from a small company previously, having an outside mentor would have been very helpful to bounce ideas about and not be talking to my boss about everything. So, any other questions?
Hi, I'm Travis Cummins. I work for Enterprise Engineering. I was also a recent graduate of the most recent LDP class for the SAME National, which was an awesome program. But I'm not going to ask a question about that. I had a question for Sally. So in my company, we like to talk a big game about mentoring and how we want to mentor, and people are interested and that sort of thing. But it's very opportunistic in terms of it depends on what projects we have going on at a particular point in time, how busy we are, and those types of things. And I guess we heard a lot about the benefits of a mentoring program and how to set one up and how to match people. But can you speak a little bit more on how the actual mentoring is structured and how you ensure that from a technical perspective, your people are getting what they need out of it, and the mentors are imparting the technical skills that they're supposed to be doing during the mentoring process?
Okay. And if at any point during this I'm not hitting on what you're trying to get to, just let me know. So how we structure, I'll go back to structure a little bit. So we have weekly one-on-ones between their chosen mentor and mentee. There are also weekly meetings within the cohort that they have, and then they have bi-weekly in-person project site visits that are led by the mentee and then coached by the other participants within the program, as well as the designated mentor for that particular session. So we try to provide multiple touch points throughout the month on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, each month we have a more relaxed sort of happy hour, dinner, lunch, and we encourage the the mentors within the program to decide whether it's best for the group to get together in a more casual setting or on a one-on-one basis for them to use that time for those who might need a little bit of additional assistance. We do take a survey. We had talked about a survey beforehand. So that survey is more of like what do you need out of the program? What do you expect out of the program? So that we can kind of measure, are we hitting those points along the way? And then after the program is kind of ended, then we also do sort of a roundup of have you gotten what you needed out of the program. I think that through the conversations when people are leading their own site tours in a small group setting where they feel comfortable with getting the criticism, I think it becomes very evident as to what some of the technical gaps are that people have, right? The best way to figure that out is tell me about your project. If you all of a sudden notice there are lights, but they don't tell you what type of lights they are, how they were installed. You can notice as a mentor that technically they're probably pretty weak in in the electrical, portion of the project, and you should probably take that conversation offline to have a more in-depth discussion about how we can better support you. Here are some resources that you might need to get the technical backing on what you need. Actually, we have an electrical, expert within our organization that I'd like for you to take like maybe 2 hours with to kind of go over your project. So it's these sort of like opportunities to work with somebody who you're not directly reporting to, so that you can feel okay with receiving criticism and mentorship and guidance.
Okay. So. Sorry.
Our time is up, and I have to run to a meeting. Feel free to keep asking them questions, but I have to exit the room, so I apologize. So feel free to continue answering questions.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Do we want to?